Jason Bourne. He wakes up with 2 bullets in his back, no name, and muscle memory that turns a pen into a weapon. When the Bourne identity hit theaters in 2002, Matt Damon was best known as the brainy, sensitive guy from Good Will Hunting. But Jason Bourne transformed him into something else entirely, a lethally efficient amnesiac superweapon. The opening scene sets the tone instantly. Bourne is fished out of the Mediterranean with 2 bullets in his back and a capsule embedded in his hip. Inside it, a Swiss bank account number. He wakes up with no name, no past, just reflexes he can't explain. This isn't a traditional action hero. Bourne doesn't pose or posture. He's cold, mechanical, and terrifyingly competent. The key to Bourne's legendary status lies in how his skills surface involuntarily. He disarms cops with pens, improvises weapons from toasters and magazines, and memorizes exits and threats with robotic precision. In the Zurich embassy scene, he instinctively scans the room and rattles off license plates and security protocols like a machine. Damon trained for months in Filipino Kali and Jeet Kune Do, but he avoided flashy Hollywood choreography. The fights were messy, brutal, and efficient, just like the character. What's surprising is that Damon hated guns in real life and had never played an action role before. His handlers warned him Bourne might flop. Instead, it rewired his career. The amnesia isn't just a gimmick, it becomes the story's core mechanic. Bourne doesn't want to be violent, but every move he makes reminds him he was built to eliminate. The fight scene in the Paris apartment is especially revealing. A fellow operative crashes through the window, and Bourne dispatches him with such speed it shocks even him. Afterward, he stares at the body like he's just discovered a part of himself he didn't know existed. It's a chilling reminder this isn't a spy learning the ropes. It's a weapon trying to forget it's a weapon. Bourne's journey across the trilogy is a reverse origin story. Most action heroes start small and become legends. Bourne begins as a ghost of terror and spends 3 films trying to dismantle the myth. In The Bourne Supremacy, he uncovers his first real memory, a failed assassination and a remorseful retreat. Damon reportedly insisted on minimizing Bourne's dialogue and facial expression to make him feel emotionally repressed. His face stays still even during chaos. It's the body language that carries everything. Iconic moments stack up fast. The Mini Cooper chase through Paris, the phone call to CIA Deputy Ward Abbott from a nearby rooftop, the improvised escape using a fire extinguisher and a dead agent's body in Ultimatum. Even the surveillance-heavy Grand Central Station sequence has become a blueprint for spy thrillers. Yet one moment that still shocks audiences is Bourne jumping off a building with a body to cushion his fall. Damon did most of his own stunts, partly because the producers couldn't find doubles who moved like him. Off-screen, Damon's transformation was equally unexpected. He gained 15 pounds of lean muscle, trained 6 days a week, and took part in full tactical exercises with real operatives. During production, he was nicknamed the Thinking Man's Action Star, but he hated the label. He preferred the idea of being invisible. Bourne wasn't supposed to be iconic, but in rejecting the action hero mold, no quips, no capes, no slow-motion poses, he ended up rewriting it. Jules Winfield and Vincent Vega, they talk about fast food, quote fake scripture, and shoot people in the face. Jules and Vincent are unlike any hitmen you've ever met. Jules Winfield and Vincent Vega aren't just 2 goons with guns, they're the philosophical spine of Pulp Fiction, Quentin Tarantino's chaotic, non-linear masterpiece. Together, they turn what should be a standard contract killing into one of the most quoted scenes in movie history. Their power comes from contrast. Jules is spiritual, volatile, and righteous. Vincent is lazy, sarcastic, and dangerously indifferent. Their banter makes you laugh, their violence makes you flinch, and their dynamic is the engine that drives everything around them. The 2 of them are professional hitmen working for Los Angeles mob boss Marcellus Wallace. You first meet them mid-conversation, inside a car, casually debating the metric system and fast food in Europe. Tarantino drops you into their world without setup. This isn't exposition, it's immersion. What they're saying doesn't matter until it suddenly does. They're heading to kill someone, and when they do, everything changes. Jules quotes Ezekiel 25:17, a monologue, half biblical, half made up, to justify the execution. Vincent, he just shoots. Jules needs to believe there's a greater meaning. Vincent just needs breakfast. That tension makes every scene work. In the apartment shootout, Vincent is calm, chewing his gum. Jules stares, lets the gravity of what just happened sink in. Then comes the twist. They both get shot at, point blank, but every bullet misses. Jules calls it divine intervention. Vincent calls it luck. That difference defines them. Later, when Vincent takes Mia Wallace out, he's all surface. Hair slicked back, sleeves rolled up, heroin in his veins. He doesn't care about the rules. He's reckless in a quiet way, overconfident, sloppy. That overdose scene? It only happens because he's too relaxed around danger. Jules, by contrast, is shaken after the miracle. He wants to quit the life, walk the earth, be a shepherd when they clean up Marvin's accidental shooting, blood, brains, and all. It's Jules who takes charge, who respects the wolf's authority. Vincent just complains about his car. You realize that the killer who seems colder is actually more alive. John Travolta, cast as Vincent, was a gamble. By 1994, his career was fading. Tarantino personally fought to hire him, turning a $140,000 paycheck into an Oscar-nominated revival. Travolta prepared by spending time with heroin users, trying to understand how it dulls motion without killing it. That's why Vincent's movements are slow but never sleepy. Watch how he dances with Mia. Smooth but detached, as if he's a little out of sync with the world. Samuel L. Jackson, meanwhile, almost lost the role of Jules to Paul Calderone. But after delivering that iconic audition with the Ezekiel monologue, Jackson owned it. He based Jules' speech rhythms on preacher cadences and the fury of Malcolm X. It's why every word cuts, measured, fierce, undeniable. Their wardrobe, white shirts, black suits, skinny ties, was designed to strip personality and emphasize uniformity. They aren't just hitmen, they're functionaries of violence, but it's what lies beneath the surface that makes them iconic. Jules finds purpose, Vincent never does, and that's why one walks away reborn and the other dies off screen in a bathroom, caught with his gun down, pants down, and faith never found. If you're thinking about subscribing, now's the time. I'm about to post a ton here. Thanks. Back to it. The Terminator. He shows up naked, steals clothes, grabs a shotgun, and begins the most efficient manhunt in movie history. In James Cameron's 1984 classic, Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't just play a robot, he became a cinematic icon of inevitability. The Terminator doesn't blink, doesn't breathe, and doesn't stop. His very first act, demanding clothes from a group of punks, establishes him as dominant, emotionless, and immune to fear. What makes this chilling is how little he speaks. Across the entire movie, Schwarzenegger only has 17 lines. Cameron initially wanted someone smaller and less muscular, thinking a robot assassin should blend in. Schwarzenegger flipped that logic. He argued that a machine designed for infiltration would look like the perfect killer, not a background extra. The character's power isn't just physical, it's psychological. He stalks Sarah Connor with machine precision, checking phone books, eliminating every Sarah Connor he finds. There's no malice in his killings, just programming. That indifference is what terrifies. When he storms the police station, it's not a gunfight, it's a system failure. He walks in, says, "I'll be back," and drives a car through the front desk. That line, unscripted in its delivery, became a global catchphrase. But few know, Schwarzenegger originally hated how it sounded. He wanted to say, "I will be back," believing the contraction felt too casual for a robot. Cameron insisted on keeping it. The Terminator's anatomy also adds layers to the horror. Beneath synthetic skin lies a titanium endoskeleton powered by hydrogen fuel cells. That's not movie gibberish. Cameron worked with engineers to make the design plausible. The red glowing eye, it wasn't added in post. It was a practical effect involving a prosthetic mask rigged with actual LEDs. Schwarzenegger wore it for hours during shooting, even when it made his skin blister. What makes the Terminator legendary is how he embodies dread. Unlike traditional villains who rant or gloat, he has no ego, he doesn't threaten, he just eliminates. When Sarah and Kyle escape into a factory, the Terminator is burned, exploded, and dismembered. Yet his skeleton keeps moving. The metal form, crawling towards Sarah, is still functional, still lethal. That moment wasn't CGI, it was a stop-motion model controlled by hand. Cameron insisted on realism, even if it meant long hours and complicated camera tricks. Off-screen, Schwarzenegger's transformation was radical. Though he was already famous for bodybuilding, he trained in firearms until his weapon handling looked mechanical. He practiced blind disassembly and reassembly, working to eliminate every trace of hesitation. His goal was to move like someone who had no fear of death or injury, because machines don't flinch. Most surprising of all, Schwarzenegger was initially considered for the hero role, Kyle Reese. It was only after he spoke passionately about how the Terminator should think and move that Cameron offered him the villain instead. That decision reshaped action cinema. The Terminator wasn't just another killer, he was fate-given form. No remorse, no pity, no delay, just pure, unrelenting purpose. And oh yeah, I considered selecting the T-1000, played by Robert Patrick in Terminator 2, as the character of choice for the Terminator series since he's faster, smarter, and technically the superior assassin. But the original Terminator, brought to life by Arnold, came first, and his impact was so massive and culturally defining that he felt like the only right choice. I mean, come on, it's Arnold freaking Schwarzenegger. The bride, Beatrix Kiddo. She was gunned down, left for dead, and still clawed her way out of a coffin. The bride doesn't stop until every name is crossed off her list. Beatrix Kiddo, also known as the bride and played brilliantly by Uma Thurman, isn't introduced gently. In Kill Bill Volume 1, she is bloodied, gasping, and lying on a church floor when we first meet her. Then she's shot in the head. Tarantino splits her story across 2 volumes, but the spine is simple, revenge executed with surgical precision. Uma Thurman trained for 6 months before filming, learning swordplay, kung fu, and Japanese stances. Every fight move you see is her own. Even the overhead flip in the House of Blue Leaves, she nailed that after 12 takes. What sets Beatrix apart is her dual identity. To the world, she's an assassin named Black Mamba, member of the Deadly Viper assassination squad. But to herself, she's a mother who just wanted out. Her journey is emotional, but she never lets the grief slow her blade. Take the hospital scene in Volume 1. She wakes from a 4-year coma and realizes she's been violated and stripped of everything. Her reaction? She kills Buck, steals the pussy wagon, and starts rebuilding her broken body by forcing her toes to wiggle. The audience laughs nervously, but that's a woman relearning vengeance, muscle by muscle. Each name she crosses off her list reveals more of her training and trauma. Vernita Green's suburban fight is brutal and sloppy until a school bus pulls up. They pause, pretending to be normal, then resume with kitchen knives. Beatrix doesn't gloat or taunt, she just strikes. She defeats an army of 88, one at a time. No stunt doubles. Tarantino shot the fight in full takes with a Steadicam to show it was all Uma. By Volume 2, the sword gives way to backstory. We learn how she trained under Pai Mei, a white-bearded martial arts master with a temper and a 5-point palm exploding heart technique. Pai Mei scenes mix absurdity and discipline. Thurman had to master real Shaolin hand techniques, even training with bamboo poles to mimic 1960s kung fu cinema. One of the most painful sequences is buried in subtlety. She's buried alive in a coffin, and instead of screaming, she breathes slow and remembers her training. Then, she punches her way out. That wasn't CGI. Thurman trained to break actual wooden boards from under 6 inches away. The name Beatrix Kiddo is kept hidden until late in Volume 2. Tarantino beeps it out in earlier scenes to make her feel mythic, like death in yellow. Her yellow jumpsuit isn't random either. It's Bruce Lee's from Game of Death, a tribute that tells martial arts fans exactly who she is. Legend. Off-screen, Thurman's journey mirrored her character. During a stunt crash while driving the pussy wagon, she injured her neck and knees but insisted on finishing the scene. She later revealed she did nearly all her own stunts despite risk and exhaustion. Her transformation wasn't just about choreography, it was mental, emotional, and total. Beatrix didn't become a legend because of her weapons, she became one because of her will. Every scene is a challenge, physical, maternal, moral, and she wins not through power, but refusal to stop. Vincent, he hires a cab for the night, hands over a stack of cash, and starts leaving corpses all over Los Angeles. Tom Cruise's Vincent in Collateral isn't your typical action anti-hero. He's a contract killer with gray hair, press suits, and the professionalism of a systems analyst. When he hires a cab in Los Angeles, driven by Jamie Foxx, it's not to see the city, it's to execute 5 hits in one night. What makes Vincent terrifying isn't what he does, it's how efficiently he does it. Cruise trained with former Delta Force operators to learn how to draw, fire, and reload faster than most SWAT teams. In one drill, he fired 6 shots in under 2 seconds from concealment, every shot within a 5-inch circle. That precision shows up on screen. From his first appearance, Vincent operates like a machine. After killing a man who lands on Max's cab, he brushes off the panic with a dry, "I didn't throw him, he fell." He never raises his voice, never hurries. When he enters a building, he scans for exits, calculates angles, and speaks in clipped, exact sentences. Cruise spent months preparing not just for the physicality, but the mindset. He shadowed real hitmen trainers and practiced walking through crowds unnoticed. In fact, he disguised himself as a FedEx delivery man in real life for a day in Los Angeles to see if anyone would recognize him. Nobody did. The nightclub scene, where Vincent eliminates multiple targets and bodyguards while music thumps around him, is a masterclass in tactical choreography. Cruise moves like a steel piston, no wasted movement, no second guessing. Every shot he fires is grounded in real-life double-tap combat technique. Director Michael Mann insisted on realism, and Cruise didn't use a stunt double for the gunfight. Every reload, every pivot, every point of impact was performed live. The film's armorer, Mick Gould, was a former SAS officer and drilled Cruise to react like someone who expected resistance, not drama. What separates Vincent from most contract killers in film is that he's philosophical. Between hits, he debates fate, free will, and the illusion of connection. His conversation with Max in the cab about a man dying on the subway without anyone noticing isn't just exposition, it's a window into his worldview. Vincent sees life as mechanical. People come, people go, and the system keeps running. That mindset isn't just chilling, it's consistent. Cruise, committed to keeping Vincent's emotions almost invisible, his rare flashes of anger come in micro-expressions, trained in rehearsals, to appear with surgical timing. The subway finale is a perfect character breakdown. Vincent is wounded but still hunting, his walk slows, his vision dims, yet he keeps going. Even in death, he slumps silently in the seat, unnoticed by passengers. That final image mirrors the story he told earlier. The man who died on a subway, and no one noticed. It's not just his ending, it's his prophecy. Most surprising, Tom Cruise, one of Hollywood's most famously likable stars, was cast against type. Audiences expected charm. Instead, they got a ghost in a gray suit. Cruise dyed his hair, dropped the smile, and removed all traces of movie star energy, and it worked. Vincent didn't just eliminate targets, he eliminated the idea that Cruise couldn't disappear into darkness. All the assassins in Smokin' Aces. The Tremor brothers. Chris Pine plays Darwin, the eldest and most sadistically charismatic of the trio. With a filthy trench coat, wild eyes, and a grin that never fades, Darwin treats murder like performance art. Pine wasn't even supposed to be in the film. He replaced Michael Shannon after Shannon was fired on set. His audition lasted less than a minute. Carnahan saw him and cast him on the spot. Jeeves, the hulking brute with a chainsaw, is played by Kevin Durand. He is a one-man wrecking crew, prone to growling and headbutting hotel walls. Maury Sterling rounds out the trio as Lester, the twitchy little brother with a bomb fetish and a tendency to scream mid-gunfight. Their hotel assault scene, complete with blood-soaked elevator rides, pipe bombs, and a family photo with their victims, is pure cinematic mayhem. The Tremors van is a rolling death trap. Painted with neo-Nazi graffiti and packed with weapons, every move they make screams chaos, and every second they're on screen feels like the rules no longer apply. Pascual Acosta, better known as the Plague, he moves in total silence. He's not here to eliminate the target, he's here to dissect him. Armed with bone saws and scalpels, Acosta enters rooms like a surgeon. Always wearing a ballistic vest and surgical gloves, he once cut off his own fingertips to avoid leaving prints. Nestor Carbonell based his performance on actual war criminals and real CIA documents, and it shows. His torture rig isn't cinematic, it's real hardware, dental drills, nerve stimulators, injectable poisons. His calm demeanor contrasts with the carnage he leaves behind. Eyelids sewn shut, organs harvested. He's the only hitman who leaves a signature by not leaving one. Georgia Sykes and Charisse Waters. Georgia is the definition of poise under pressure. She walks into a high-stakes casino in designer heels and a suppressed handgun strapped to her thigh. Played by Alicia Keys, Georgia blends in perfectly until the moment she doesn't. Her target is Buddy Ace's Israel, but her eyes never leave the exits, the guards, and the cameras. She improvises her plan in real time, turning flirts into threats without blinking. Meanwhile, Charisse Waters, played by Taraji P. Henson, is camped out in a nearby building with a sniper rifle and zero patience. She's not just backup, she's vengeance in a head wrap. When her partner's cover is blown, Charisse doesn't hesitate. She puts a .50 caliber round through 2 floors of drywall and doesn't even flinch. Taraji reportedly trained with military marksmen to perfect the breath hold and trigger timing of a long-range sniper shot. Laszlo Soot, the shapeshifter. He doesn't need a gun. He walks into the hotel as someone else entirely. Disguises aren't his trick, there's identity. With rubber prosthetics and voice mimicry, he impersonates building staff, security guards, and even his own victims. Tommy Flanagan wore real latex pieces designed by the same artists behind Mission Impossible masks, allowing him to pull off on-camera face changes without cuts. Laszlo's scenes are unnerving because you never know if it's really him until it's too late. He doesn't just infiltrate, he erases. His calling card? Taking your identity and using it as a corpse decoy. Together, these lunatics form the most unhinged hitman lineup ever put to screen. No alliances, no ethics, just overlapping agendas and maximum bloodshed. Smokin' Aces doesn't build tension, it detonates it, character by character. Leon the Professional. He waters his plant, drinks his milk, and kills without leaving a trace. Leon, played by Jean Reno in Leon the Professional, is a cleaner, a euphemism for hitman, but he operates with the precision and restraint of a man haunted by routine. He doesn't talk much, he doesn't smile, he lives alone in a sparse apartment with nothing but milk, a houseplant, and a hidden arsenal. When we first see him in action, he moves through shadows, eliminating targets silently. No theatrics, no one-liners, just execution. Jean Reno asked director Luc Besson to make Leon slightly slow, not mentally disabled, but emotionally underdeveloped. He plays Leon as someone frozen in time, a child in an adult killer's body. His skills are terrifying. Leon can enter and exit a building without leaving a trace, shoot with surgical accuracy, and clean an entire room before anyone realizes he was there. But he's not flashy. He doesn't relish the violence. When he kills, he does it like he's brushing his teeth. Automatic, unremarkable. Reno trained with real counter-terrorist units to master the way professionals hold their weapons, clear rooms, and disappear into the background. He insisted on not using any unnecessary motion. If he had to reload or breathe heavily, it meant he was sloppy. The film changes the moment he meets Matilda, a 12-year-old neighbor whose family is slaughtered by corrupt DEA agents. She knocks on his door, blood on her shoes, and he hesitates just for a second before letting her in. That second reshapes everything. Leon, the unfeeling killer, becomes a reluctant guardian. He teaches Matilda how to clean a gun, tail a target, and even simulate a sniper shot using paintball rounds. But more importantly, he starts to feel again. His plant, always in the same pot, never repotted, becomes symbolic. He's rootless, unable to grow, until she arrives. One of Leon's most iconic scenes is the training montage. Matilda practices with a sniper rifle on rooftops, and Leon coaches her with the same emotionless tone he uses for everything else. But in between, he starts to care. He smiles, however faintly. In one scene, he falls asleep with sunglasses still on, pretending to be indifferent. Reno improvised that moment. He said Leon didn't know how to be normal, so he copied what he thought cool people did. Leon's final stand is a masterclass in tension. He rigs the apartment with explosives, takes out DEA operatives one by one, and slips out disguised as a wounded officer. But he's cornered by Stansfield, played by Gary Oldman, in full unhinged mode. Leon whispers one final word, Matilda, and then detonates a grenade hidden under his vest. It's not just revenge, it's sacrifice. He dies so she can live. Reno's portrayal is surprising for another reason. He turned down major Hollywood roles to play Leon. He believed the character's quiet code and emotional distance were rare, and he wanted to explore what happens when a killer learns how to love, not romantically, but protectively. His performance doesn't ask for sympathy. It earns it through silence, control, and ultimately letting go. John Wick. Baba Yaga. He buried his past, but when they killed his dog, John Wick dug up the guns, and the bodies started falling. There's probably no assassin that's more notorious than John Wick, played by Keanu Reeves. He's a myth wrapped in flesh, known in whispers as Baba Yaga. Not the boogeyman, but the one you send to kill the boogeyman. Wick is introduced not with action, but with grief. His wife dies. She leaves him a final gift, a beagle puppy. When Russian gangsters kill the dog and steal his car, they don't just provoke revenge. They restart a career. The quiet man they robbed is actually the assassin every killer fears. Wick's combat style changed the genre. He blends judo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and center-axis relock shooting into a system fans call gun fu. Every move flows into the next. A hip throw into a double tap, a reload mid-fall, a headshot from the floor. Keanu Reeves trained for months with Navy SEALs, SWAT officers, and competitive shooters. He completed real-life 3-gun courses, rifle, pistol, and shotgun, and ranked higher than active duty personnel. Reeves insisted on doing nearly every stunt himself, including being hit by cars and thrown down stairs. The Red Circle club fight in the first film defines John Wick's precision. He eliminates guards through crowds, lighting, and music, never breaking stride. His kill count, over 70 in the first movie alone, and yet he never smiles, never gloats. He moves like a man digging a grave for himself as he fights. Wick's world is layered in ritual. The Continental Hotel is neutral ground for assassins. Gold coins serve as currency. Oaths are sealed in blood markers. Wick isn't breaking rules, he's a relic of them. But when others break those codes, he becomes the consequence. In John Wick Chapter 2, he's forced back into a hit. He completes it, only to kill the contractor on hotel grounds, violating the one unbreakable law. He's excommunicated. The bounty on his head? $14 million. What follows is an international ballet of death. Reeves memorized choreo up to 12 pages long without stunt doubles. In the knife museum scene, every throw and block was rehearsed over 50 times. In Parabellum, he fights on horseback, underwater, and on motorcycles, all practical, no CGI stand-ins. He trained in jiu-jitsu under the Machado brothers and learned stunt driving from rally experts. Between films, Reeves would reportedly spend 4 to 6 hours a day drilling tactical reloads, blade transitions, and gun disarms. Despite the body count, 306 kills by Chapter 4, Wick rarely speaks. He says more with a look or a sigh than with dialogue. His pain isn't just physical, it's spiritual. He's not avenging the dog, he's avenging the last piece of his wife. Each film strips away more of his humanity, revealing a man whose only skill is killing, and whose only choice is how long he can live with that truth. By the time he climbs the 222 steps to Sacré-Cœur in Chapter 4, bleeding and broken, we understand the truth. John Wick isn't fighting to survive. He's fighting because it's all he knows, and he's better at it than anyone alive. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and subscribe. I've got a lot more content coming. Thanks for watching.